The USB drive hit the marble floor with a soft click that echoed through the empty executive suite like a gunshot in Juan Lim's mind. He'd been careless, exhausted from 18-hour days, managing both his legitimate real estate empire and the darker operations that funded it. He'd let the encrypted device slip from his fingers. Evidence of his rival's embezzlement operation, worth millions, dangerous enough to start a war between organizations, now skittered across polished stone. Before he could retrieve it, small brown fingers picked it up. "You dropped this, mister." Juan froze. A child stood before him, black, maybe 5 years old, wearing a faded purple shirt that hung past her knees like a dress. No shoes. Hollowed cheeks that spoke of too many missed meals. 2 puffs of natural hair decorated with mismatched plastic beads. Eyes too knowing, too wary for someone so young. She held out the USB drive with both hands, like an offering. Behind her, frantic footsteps approached. A woman's voice, breathless with panic. "Layla, baby, I told you to stay in the break room." Juan's carefully controlled world tilted on its axis. Monica Harris burst into the executive suite, her heart hammering against her ribs with the force of absolute terror. This was it. She was going to lose this job, the best paying of her 3 jobs, the one that kept the lights on in their apartment, the one that put any food at all on the table for Layla. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Lim," she stammered, reaching for her daughter's hand. "She was sleeping, I swear. I just turned my back for a second to clean the conference room and it's fine." Monica's words died in her throat. She'd worked as the night janitor at Lim Enterprises for 3 months and had never spoken directly to the owner. Juan Lim existed as a distant figure. Expensive suits in the hallways, curt nods, a man whose presence made even senior executives straighten their spines and lower their voices. Now he stood less than 6 feet away, and Monica understood the fear. He was young, maybe early 30s, tall for a Korean man, black hair styled in a modern undercut, sharp jawline, eyes so dark they appeared black in the low lighting. A white dress shirt with the top 4 buttons undone revealed smooth skin and the edge of a tattoo curling up the right side of his neck, something fierce and elegant. Despite the late hour past midnight, he looked perfectly composed except for the faint shadows beneath those intense eyes. Powerful, dangerous, the kind of man Monica's instincts screamed to avoid. "Mama, he dropped this." Layla held up the small device, oblivious to her mother's panic. "I gave it back. You always say we got to return things that aren't ours." "That's right," Juan said, his voice softer than Monica expected. He crouched down to Layla's eye level, moving with controlled grace. "Thank you for being honest." Layla took a small step backward, pressing against her mother's legs. Her fingers found the worn fabric of Monica's work uniform, navy blue scrubs bearing the janitorial company's logo. "What's your name?" Juan asked. "Layla Marie Harris," the little girl whispered. "I'm 5 years old. My birthday was last month, but we didn't have cake 'cause—" "Layla," Monica's voice came out sharper than intended. Heat flooded her cheeks. The last thing she needed was her daughter announcing their poverty to her employer. But Juan's expression didn't change. He straightened, slipping the USB drive into his pocket, then studied Monica with unsettling focus. She resisted the urge to check her appearance. She knew what he saw. A 26-year-old woman aged by struggle, her warm amber skin dull from exhaustion, natural hair pulled back in a simple bun beneath her work cap, dark circles under light brown eyes that used to be bright. "You bring your daughter to work every night?" he asked. Monica lifted her chin. Pride was all she had left. "I can't afford childcare on night shift wages. She sleeps in the break room. She doesn't touch anything, doesn't make noise, doesn't get in the way." "If that's a problem, how old are you?" The question caught her off guard. "What?" "Your age. 26. Why does that matter?" "Single mother." Monica's jaw tightened. "My personal life is none of your business, Mr. Lim." Something flickered in those dark eyes. Not offense, but something else. Interest, maybe. Or recognition. "You're right," he said. "I apologize. That was inappropriate." He glanced at Layla, who had pressed her face against Monica's hip, peeking out at him with cautious curiosity. "Does she eat dinner before you bring her here?" The question landed like a physical blow. Monica felt Layla tense against her. "We manage," Monica said, her voice cold. "That's not what I asked." "We manage." Each word came out clipped, defensive. "Is there anything else, Mr. Lim?" "I have 4 more floors to clean before my shift ends at 6. Juan was silent for a long moment. Monica watched something shift behind his carefully controlled expression, a crack in the facade, gone so quickly she might have imagined it. "No," he finally said. "That's all. "Have a good evening, Miss Harris." He knew her name. Of course he did. He probably knew every employee's name. That's what powerful men did. Monica took Layla's hand and turned to leave, her pulse still racing. "Miss Harris." She paused, but didn't turn around. "The break room refrigerator," Juan said. "There's food in there. Leftovers from the executive meetings. It gets thrown out at the end of each week. You're welcome to take what you need. Charity." Monica's throat tightened with humiliation and hunger that warred inside her chest. "We don't need—" "It's going in the trash otherwise," he interrupted, his tone matter-of-fact. "Seems wasteful." Monica pulled Layla toward the door without responding. As they walked down the empty corridor, Layla tugged on her mother's hand. "Mama, he was nice. He didn't yell." "Baby, we don't take handouts from people like that." "People like what?" Monica didn't have an answer that a 5-year-old would understand. "People with power. People who always wanted something in return. People who made you feel small just by existing in the same space." But later that night, after she'd cleaned 3 more floors and Layla had fallen back asleep on the break room couch, Monica found herself standing in front of the refrigerator. Inside were containers of catered food, Korean barbecue, expensive salads, fresh fruit, sandwiches from the upscale deli 2 blocks away. Her stomach growled traitorously. She thought of Layla's dinner, half a peanut butter sandwich and a bruised apple, the last of the food in their apartment until she got paid Friday, 3 days away. Monica's hand trembled as she reached for a container of fruit. Upstairs in his office, Juan Lim stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston's financial district. The city glittered beneath him. Lights and power and money. The empire he'd built from his parents' small dry-cleaning business through ruthless ambition and connections that existed in the shadows. He'd killed for this view, metaphorically and literally. But tonight, all he could see was a little girl with mismatched beads in her hair, wearing clothes 3 sizes too big, returning something that didn't belong to her because her mother taught her about honesty, even when they were starving. He pulled out his phone and made a call. "It's me," he said in Korean when his second-in-command answered. "I need background on one of the cleaning staff. Monica Harris. Everything. Financial situation, debts, family, history. I want it by morning." "Boss, it's 1 in the morning. Did I stutter?" "No, sir, I'll have it by 8. Juan ended the call and returned his attention to the windows. Below, the city hummed with late-night life, cars on the street, lights in apartments, people living their separate existences, unaware of each other's struggles. He touched the tiger tattoo on his neck, a habit from his teenage years when he'd first entered this life. The traditional Korean design represented protection, strength, courage. His mother had cried when she saw it. Tonight, for the first time in years, Juan thought about the woman who'd raised him alone in this country, working 3 jobs, bringing him to work sometimes because she couldn't afford a babysitter, feeding him before herself even when food was scarce. He'd been that hungry child once. The memory settled in his chest like a stone. Monica discovered the groceries on Thursday morning. She'd stumbled home at 7 a.m. After her warehouse shift, Layla dozing against her shoulder, keys fumbling in her exhausted grip. When she opened the apartment door, she nearly tripped over the boxes. 4 large boxes from an upscale grocery store, packed with food. Real food. Fresh vegetables, fruit, rice, chicken, milk, bread, eggs, even snacks for children. No note, no explanation. Monica's first instinct was to shove them back into the hallway. Her second was to call the police. Her third, as Layla woke up and saw the food, was to cry, "Mama, look, is it for us?" Layla's eyes went wide with wonder at the sight of the colorful packages. I don't know, baby." But she did know. Somehow she knew exactly who had done this. Friday night at Lim Enterprises, Monica worked with her jaw clenched tight, anger and confusion churning in her stomach. When she finished the executive floor at 1 a.m., she found Juan Lim still in his office, door open, tie discarded, working at his desk with the focused intensity of a man who never stopped. She knocked on the doorframe. He looked up, unsurprised, as if he'd been expecting her. "Ms. Harris, I need to speak with you. Come in." Monica stayed in the doorway. Layla was sleeping downstairs. She had maybe 10 minutes. "The groceries. That was you." It wasn't a question. Juan leaned back in his leather chair, studying her with those unreadable dark eyes. "Yes. I can't accept them. They've already been delivered. Then I'll return them." "To whom?" "There's no receipt. No return address." Monica's hands curled into fists at her sides. "I don't need your charity, Mr. Lim. I don't know what you think this buys you, but it buys me nothing." His voice remained calm, infuriatingly even. "Your daughter is 5 years old and malnourished. You work 3 jobs and still can't afford basic necessities. I'm not blind, Miss Harris. The truth, spoken so plainly, felt like a slap. Monica's throat tightened. That's none of your business. You made it my business when you brought your child into my building every night. Juan stood, moving around his desk with that predatory grace that made Monica's instincts scream danger. He stopped 6 feet away, close enough to feel threatening, far enough to be respectful. I'm offering help. No strings, no expectations, no payback required. Nobody does that. Everyone wants something. Then I'm nobody. Why? The word burst out of her, raw and desperate. Why do you care? You don't know us. We're nothing to you. I clean your floors, that's all. So why? For the first time, something cracked in Juan's controlled expression. His jaw tightened. He touched the tattoo on his neck unconsciously, and Monica glimpsed something beneath the expensive suit and cold authority, something human and hurt. My mother was a cleaning woman, he said quietly, switching to Korean before catching himself and continuing in English. She brought me to work with her when I was young because she had no one to watch me. I remember being hungry. I remember wearing clothes that didn't fit. I remember the way people looked at us, like we were invisible, like we didn't matter. The confession hung in the air between them. Monica's anger wavered. And now you're rich and powerful, so you think throwing money at people like us makes up for it? No. Juan's voice hardened. Nothing makes up for it. But I can choose not to ignore it when it's right in front of me. I don't want to owe you. You don't. Take the food, Ms. Harris. Feed your daughter. That's all I'm asking. Monica studied him, this dangerous man with his expensive watch and ruthless reputation, who somehow looked at her like she was a person instead of furniture. In 3 months of working here, no one else had even learned her first name. Just the food, she finally said. Nothing else. Agreed. She turned to leave, then paused. Thank you, she forced out, for seeing us. When she left, Juan returned to the windows. He pulled out his phone and texted his assistant. Order more groceries. Same address. Weekly deliveries. Add children's vitamins and clothes for a 5-year-old girl, size small, and toys, educational ones. The response came immediately. Budget limit? Juan stared at the question, then typed, no limit. 2 weeks later, Layla appeared at Juan's office door holding a piece of paper. Mr. Juan? Her small voice echoed in the hallway. He looked up from his laptop to find the little girl standing there in new clothes, a pink sweater that actually fit, jeans without holes, sneakers with cartoon characters. Her hair was styled in fresh braids. She looked healthier, her cheeks less hollow, eyes brighter. Layla, does your mother know you're up here? She's in the bathroom on floor 2. I wanted to give you this. She walked forward and placed the paper on his desk. A drawing. Crayon on white paper. 3 figures holding hands. A tall man in black, a woman with brown skin and curly lines for hair, and a small girl between them. Hearts floated around them. At the bottom, in careful letters, Thank you, Mr. Juan. Something shifted in his chest. Warm and unfamiliar and terrifying. You drew this for me? Uh-huh. Mama says you're the reason we have food now. And my new shoes. She pointed at her feet proudly. They light up when I walk. See? She stomped, and the sneakers flashed purple and blue. Juan found himself smiling, actually smiling for the first time in months. They're very nice shoes. Do you like the picture? I love it. Thank you, Layla. Her answering grin transformed her entire face. Mama says I gotta be polite and grateful. So, thank you. For the food and stuff. You're welcome. Are you nice? Mama says I shouldn't trust people just 'cause they give us things, but you seem nice. The question was so direct, so innocent, that Juan didn't know how to answer. Was he nice? He'd done things that would send him to prison for life. He'd hurt people, ordered deaths, built an empire on violence and fear. But looking at this child with her handmade drawing and light-up shoes, he wanted to be. I try to be, he finally said. Sometimes. That's okay. Mama says trying is important. Layla tilted her head, studying him with that unnerving wisdom children sometimes possessed. You look sad. Are you sad? Layla Marie. Monica's voice carried from the hallway, sharp with panic. Uh-oh, bye, Mr. Juan. Layla darted toward the door, nearly colliding with her mother. Monica appeared, breathless, work gloves still on. I'm sorry, I told her to stay. She brought me a gift. Juan held up the drawing. I'm honored. Monica's expression softened as she looked at the crayon figures. Something passed over her face, complicated and conflicted. Come on, baby, she said to Layla. Let Mr. Lim work. As they left, Juan heard Layla's voice echo back. I like him, Mama. He has a nice smile. Don't get attached, Monica replied quietly. People like him don't stay in lives like ours. Juan stared at the drawing for a long time after they left. Then he cleared a space on his bookshelf, between photos of his parents and his Harvard business degree, and propped it up where he could see it from his desk. The tiger on his neck seemed to burn. Absolutely not. Monica stood in Juan's office 3 weeks after the groceries started arriving, arms crossed, exhaustion written in every line of her body. It was 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Layla slept downstairs in the break room, but Monica had been summoned upstairs by a text from her supervisor. Mr. Lim wants to see you. Now. Now she wished she'd ignored it. It's a legitimate job offer, Juan said calmly. Daytime administrative assistant, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Triple your current combined salary from all 3 jobs. Health insurance, paid time off. Working for you. Working for Lim Enterprises, yes. Doing what exactly? Monica's voice dripped with suspicion. I don't have office experience. I barely finished community college before I had Layla. What could you possibly need me to do that's worth that kind of money? Juan's jaw tightened slightly, the only sign of frustration. General administrative support. Filing, scheduling, correspondence. Tasks you can learn. The position is real, Miss Harris. I'm not inventing charity disguised as employment. Then why me? You could hire someone qualified. Because you work harder than anyone in this building. Because you show up every night without fail, regardless of exhaustion. Because you're intelligent and organized and capable. He paused. And because your daughter deserves to see her mother during daylight hours. The last part hit home. Monica's resolve wavered. She hadn't put Layla to bed at a normal hour in months, hadn't read her bedtime stories, or helped with the preschool homework that was starting to pile up, hadn't been present for anything except exhausted good mornings before collapsing into bed. There's a childcare center, Juan continued, on the 3rd floor, for employees' children. Layla could stay there during your shift. Qualified teachers, activities, meals provided. There's no childcare center in this building. There will be by Monday. I'm having the space converted this weekend. Monica stared at him. You're creating an entire childcare center for one employee. For any employee who needs it. You're simply the first who will benefit. It was too much, too generous, too perfect. Monica's instinct screamed that this couldn't be real, couldn't be without strings attached. Men like Juan Lim didn't just hand people new lives out of kindness. What do you want from me? She asked quietly. Really? Because this, all of this, nobody does this expecting nothing in return. Juan stood and walked to the windows overlooking Boston. His reflection in the dark glass looked younger somehow, less controlled. When I was 7, he said, speaking to the city rather than to her, my mother worked as a seamstress in a factory in Los Angeles, 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. One day she collapsed from exhaustion. The owner docked her pay for the time she spent in the emergency room. Monica remained silent. A man saw us at the hospital. Korean, older, owned businesses in Koreatown. He paid the bill, got my mother a better job, helped us find decent housing, asked for nothing. Juan turned to face her. Years later, I learned he was Yakuza, Japanese organized crime loosely affiliated with Korean operations, criminal by any definition, but to me and my mother, he was the reason we survived. So this is, what, paying it forward? This is me remembering what it feels like to be invisible, to be hungry, to watch your parent work themselves to death and still not have enough. His dark eyes met hers with uncomfortable intensity. I'm not a good man, Miss Harris. Don't mistake my help for virtue. But I can choose who I help and how. Right now, I'm choosing you and your daughter. The honesty, brutal and direct, cut through Monica's defenses more effectively than any amount of charm could have. I need to think about it, she said. You have until Monday. Monica took the job. By the following Wednesday, she was seated at a desk outside Juan's office, learning to manage his schedule and correspondence. The work was overwhelming at first, a completely different world from scrubbing floors. But Juan's assistant, a sharp-eyed Korean-American woman named Grace, trained her patiently. Downstairs, Layla thrived in the new childcare center. For the first time in her life, she had consistent meals, structured activities, and children her own age to play with. Monica watched her daughter bloom like a flower finally given water and sunlight, and slowly, despite every instinct screaming warnings, she began to trust Juan Lim. It started small. He asked about her day, actually listened to the answer, remembered details she mentioned in passing, brought Layla books when he noticed the little girl loved to be read to. One afternoon, Monica found him in the childcare center, sitting cross-legged on the floor, while Layla attempted to teach him a hand-clapping game. "No, no, Mr. Juan. You go," Layla demonstrated, her small hands moving in a complex pattern. "Like this. Then I go like this." Juan, dressed in a $3,000 suit, gamely attempted to follow along. He failed miserably. Layla dissolved into giggles. "You're terrible at this." Apparently. But he was smiling. That rare, genuine smile that transformed his entire face from dangerous to human. Monica stood in the doorway, throat tight with an emotion she couldn't name. When Juan noticed her, something passed between them. Awareness, warm and electric. "Mama, Mr. Juan is learning my game. I see that, baby. He's not very good." "Layla, that's not polite." "It's accurate," Juan said dryly, standing and brushing off his pants. "I have a conference call. Enjoy your afternoon, Layla." "Bye, Mr. Juan, we can practice more tomorrow." As he passed Monica in the doorway, he paused. They stood close, closer than professional, and Monica caught his scent. Expensive cologne and something beneath it, warm and cedar-like. "She's a good kid," he said quietly. "She likes you. She doesn't usually take to people this fast." The feeling is mutual. Their eyes met and held. Monica's pulse quickened. "Thank you," she said, "for this, for all of it. I know I haven't said it enough, but you don't have to thank me, Monica." Her first name in his voice sent warmth through her chest. When had they crossed that line from Ms. Harris to Monica? "I want to," she insisted. "You changed our lives. I don't know how to repay that." "I don't want repayment." His voice dropped lower, intimate in the quiet hallway. "I just want you both to be okay." "Why?" The question came out as a whisper. "Why do you care so much?" Juan's hand lifted as if to touch her face, then stopped, falling back to his side. "I'm still trying to figure that out." He left before she could respond. That night, Monica lay in her actual apartment bed, no longer wondering if they'd be evicted, no longer choosing between rent and food, and acknowledged the terrifying truth blooming in her chest. She was falling for Juan Lim, and that was the most dangerous thing that could happen. Marcus appeared on a Friday afternoon. Monica was walking Layla home from work. Actual walking, not rushing between bus stops and job sites, when she saw him leaning against a car across from their apartment building. Her blood turned to ice. "Mama?" Layla felt her mother's hand tighten. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, baby. Keep walking." But Marcus had already spotted them. He pushed off the car and crossed the street with the swagger Monica remembered too well. The walk of a man who believed the world owed him something. "Well, well, look at you, Monica, moving up in the world." His voice dripped with false charm edged in threat. "New clothes, kid looks healthy. Got a better place now too, I hear." "Leave us alone, Marcus." Monica positioned herself between him and Layla. "That any way to greet your baby, Daddy?" Layla's small voice. "You're not my daddy." Marcus's expression darkened. "Excuse me?" "Marcus, please." Monica's voice shook despite her attempt at strength. "We don't want any trouble, just go." "Trouble?" "Nah, I'm just checking on my investment. See, word is you came into some money. Got a nice job, fancy office building downtown." He stepped closer. Monica smelled alcohol on his breath. "I'm thinking you owe me. I gave you that kid after all. You gave us nothing but bruises and empty promises. You signed away your rights to her. You have no claim here. I got a claim on whatever you got now." His eyes traveled over her, possessive and threatening. $5,000 should cover it, for back child support you never asked for. I don't have $5,000. Then your new boss does. I looked him up. Korean guy, loaded. Running some real estate empire. I'm sure he won't miss a few thousand to keep his pretty assistant's past quiet. Understanding clicked into place. "You're trying to blackmail me. I'm trying to get what's mine. You got 1 week, Monica. Cash, or I start making your life complicated." He glanced down at Layla with cold eyes. "Kids have accidents, you know. Would be a shame if something happened." Rage burned through Monica's fear. "Don't you dare—" 1 week. Marcus turned and walked back to his car. Monica stood frozen on the sidewalk, Layla pressed against her legs, both of them trembling. She didn't tell Juan. For 3 days, she went to work with the threat hanging over her head like a blade. She smiled at Layla, performed her job duties, pretended everything was fine. At night, she lay awake trying to figure out how to get $5,000 she didn't have, how to protect her daughter from a man who'd proven himself dangerous before. On the 4th day, Juan called her into his office. "Sit down, Monica." His voice was cold, the voice she imagined he used when conducting the darker parts of his business. Monica's stomach dropped. A man came to the building today, Juan continued. Tried to enter through the lobby. Security stopped him. He claimed to be your ex-boyfriend, said he had business with me regarding you. Monica closed her eyes. Mr. Lim, Why didn't you tell me you were being threatened? His tone cut through her prepared excuses. When she opened her eyes, Juan was standing by the windows, tension visible in every line of his body. It's not your problem, she said. Not my... He turned sharply. Monica, he threatened you. He threatened Layla. How is that not my problem? Because you've already done enough. I can't keep coming to you every time something goes wrong in my life. I can't be some charity case you have to rescue constantly. Is that what you think this is? Juan's voice dropped dangerously low. Charity. I don't know what this is. Monica stood, her own frustration boiling over. I don't understand you. I don't understand why you care. I don't understand why a man like you looks at someone like me and sees anything worth protecting. Because you're brilliant and strong and the best mother I've ever seen. The words burst out of him, raw and unfiltered. Because your daughter draws pictures of me, and it makes me feel human for the first time in 10 years. Because when you smile, actually smile, not the exhausted thing you do when you're being polite, it's like sunlight in this dark fucking world I've built. The confession hung between them, electric and terrifying. Monica stared at him. Juan, I'll handle Marcus, he said, his voice controlled again, but his eyes still blazing. He won't bother you again. What are you going to do? Nothing illegal, nothing that will come back on you or Layla. He moved closer, and Monica's breath caught. But he needs to understand that you're under my protection now, both of you, and I don't tolerate threats to what's mine. I'm not yours. Aren't you? His hand lifted, fingers ghosting along her jawline without quite touching. Tell me you haven't felt this. Tell me it's all in my head. Monica's heart hammered. She should step back. Should maintain professional distance. Should remember that he was her boss, that this was inappropriate, that men like him were dangerous in ways that had nothing to do with organized crime. But she couldn't. I feel it, she whispered. God help me, I feel it, but that doesn't mean... Juan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression shifted into something cold and lethal. Marcus just tried to grab Layla from the childcare center. Monica's world stopped. Security has him restrained. She's safe. She's locked in the reading room with 2 guards and doesn't know anything happened. His eyes met hers. But this ends now. What happened in the next hour, Monica never fully learned. She held Layla in the reading room, while voices carried from somewhere below, heated Korean mixed with English, followed by silence. When Juan finally appeared, his suit jacket was gone, his white shirt slightly wrinkled. His knuckles bore faint marks that would bruise by morning. But his expression was calm. He's gone, Juan said simply. He won't be back. Ever. What did you... Don't ask questions you don't want answered. He crouched down to Layla's level. Hey, sweetheart. You okay? There was a mean man, Layla said, her voice small. He said he was my daddy, but he's not. My daddy would be nice like you. Something cracked in Juan's expression. He pulled Layla into a gentle hug, and over the little girl's head, his eyes found Monica's. In that moment, Monica knew 2 things with absolute certainty. First, that Juan Lim had done something terrible to Marcus, something permanent. Second, that she loved him anyway. I need to leave. Monica said the words 3 days after the incident with Marcus, standing in Juan's office after everyone else had gone home. Layla was asleep in the childcare center, exhausted from a full day of activities. Juan looked up from his laptop, his expression carefully neutral. Leave. This job. Boston. I have family in Atlanta. We can go there, start over. You don't have family in Atlanta. Your mother died when you were 19. You have no siblings, no cousins close enough to take you in. His voice remained even, but Monica heard the edge beneath it. I know because I checked. You investigated me. The first night I met you, yes. No apology in his tone. I needed to know if you were a threat. And am I? The most dangerous thing that's ever walked into my life. He stood moving around the desk with predatory grace, but not in the way I expected. Monica held her ground even as her pulse raced. What happened to Marcus, Juan? He's alive. That's all you need to know. You hurt him. I neutralized a threat to someone under my protection. I'd do it again without hesitation. He stopped close. Too close. Is that what this is about? You're afraid of me now. I'm afraid of what you make me feel, Monica admitted. I'm afraid that I saw you walk back into that room with blood on your knuckles, and all I felt was relief, gratitude, not horror. What does that make me? Human or broken? Monica. Her name in his voice always did something to her. Look at me. She did. Those dark eyes that had seemed so cold when they first met now held warmth that terrified her. I'm not a good man, Juan said quietly. I've done things that would make you run if you knew. I've built my empire on foundations that wouldn't survive scrutiny. I exist in a world where violence is currency and mercy is weakness. Then why show me mercy? Because you and Layla walked into my life and reminded me I'm still capable of being human. Because that little girl draws pictures of us as a family, and it's the only future I want anymore. His hand cupped her face gently, the same hand that had hurt Marcus days ago, now impossibly tender. Because I'm in love with you, Monica Harris, and I have been since you stood in this office and told me your personal life was none of my business. Monica's breath caught. Juan, you want to leave? I'll help you. Money, references, anything you need. But don't run because you're afraid of how you feel. Run because you don't feel it. Run because I'm not worth the risk, but don't run because you think you should. The choice hung between them. Monica thought of the past 2 months. Groceries appearing, new jobs materializing, her daughter thriving for the first time. But more than that, she thought of the man who sat cross-legged on floors learning hand games, who kept Layla's drawing on his shelf, who looked at Monica like she was precious instead of invisible, who'd protected them without hesitation when danger appeared. I don't want to run, she whispered. Juan's thumb brushed her cheek. Then what do you want? This. You. Us. I want Layla to keep drawing pictures of our family. I want to stop being afraid that this will disappear. Her voice strengthened. I want to choose this, even knowing it's dangerous, even knowing you're dangerous, because I love you too, and I'm tired of pretending I don't. The kiss, when it came, was inevitable, his mouth claiming hers with controlled intensity, her hands fisting in his shirt, years of loneliness and hunger dissolving into heat and promise. He kissed her like she was air and he'd been drowning, like she was the answer to questions he'd stopped asking. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Juan pressed his forehead to hers. Sarangheo, he murmured in Korean. Saranghe, I love you. I don't know what that means, but I love you too. He smiled against her lips. I'll teach you. I'll teach you everything. A small voice from the doorway. Are you guys kissing? They sprang apart to find Layla standing there, rubbing sleep from her eyes, her expression more curious than upset. Monica's face flamed. Layla, baby, you should be... Does this mean Mr. Juan is going to be my daddy now? The question, so innocent, so hopeful, hit them both like a physical force. Juan crouched to Layla's level, his movements careful. Would you want that? If I was around all the time, if I was part of your family? Layla considered this seriously, then nodded. You're nice. You bring me books. You're not very good at hand games, but you try. She paused. And you make Mama smile the real way, not the tired way. Then yes, Juan said, his voice rough with emotion. I'd like very much to be your family. If your Mama says it's okay. 2 pairs of eyes turned to Monica, one dark and intense, one bright with hope. Monica felt tears slip down her cheeks as she nodded. It's okay, it's more than okay. Layla launched herself at Juan, wrapping small arms around his neck. He caught her easily, standing with the little girl in his arms, his free hand reaching for Monica. They stood there in his office overlooking the Boston skyline, a Korean mafia boss, a black single mother, and the 5-year-old who'd brought them together, and became something neither adult had dared hope for. A family. The house in Newton was too big, Monica had argued. Too expensive, too suburban, too much. Juan had bought it anyway. Now she stood in the kitchen of their home, a concept still strange and wonderful, watching through the window as Juan taught Layla to ride a bicycle in the backyard. His suit jacket was discarded on the patio furniture, white shirt sleeves rolled up, tie long gone. Layla's delighted squeals carried through the glass. I'm doing it! Daddy, I'm doing it! Daddy. The word still made Monica's throat tight. 6 months since that night in his office. 6 months of navigation between 2 worlds, his complicated, sometimes dangerous business empire and the simple joy of family dinners and bedtime stories. 6 months of learning each other, of Juan teaching Monica Korean phrases while she introduced him to her grandmother's soul food recipes. 6 months of Layla blooming into a confident, healthy child who no longer flinched at loud noises or hoarded food. 6 months of love. The diamond on Monica's left hand caught the afternoon light, a proposal that had come 3 weeks ago, Juan on one knee in this very kitchen while Layla watched with excited anticipation. Outside, the bicycle wobbled. Juan caught it, Caught Layla, both of them laughing. Monica's phone buzzed. A text from Grace. Boss says he's working from home tomorrow. Translation: he's spending the day with his girls, and nobody better disturb him. Monica smiled and typed back, "Tell everyone he's busy being a dad. Much more important." Through the window, she watched Juan lift Layla onto his shoulders, the little girl's braids bouncing as she cheered her victory. He turned toward the house, and his eyes found Monica through the glass. The tiger tattoo on his neck was visible in the sunlight, a symbol of protection. He'd found what he was meant to protect, and they'd found home.